Call the meeting to order. Let's do a roll call. I believe we have a quorum here, so move on to the next item as announcements by staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item number 30 and 38 have been withdrawn from the agenda. There's a revised report for you for item 23, the Terra Vista wastewater system bond, which staff is recommending deferral to the March meeting for that item. There's also a revised consent agenda reflecting that deferral and recommendation. Next, the consideration to endorse the Arrington Village Plan by the County Commission will occur at their March 10th meeting, and that will be followed by the consideration to adopt the plan before this body at your March 20th meeting. And just a reminder about your March meeting, that will be held on the third Thursday of the month, not the second. So we're going to meet on March the 20th and not March 13th. So March 20th. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a public comment period, and while we have a couple of public hearings later in the meeting, we do not have a public comment. Nobody signed up for that period, so we will move on to consideration of the minutes from the last meeting. Do we have any comments on the meetings as minutes as written? Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion passes. Consideration of the consent agenda, and I will draw your attention to, we have the main consent agenda, and we have item 35 and 46 also on the consent agenda. So anything we need to discuss on the consent agenda? Do we need to do anything different with that? Okay. Do I have a motion for approval? Second? I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to item number 29. I need to recuse myself from this item, so I'll turn it over to. So I will send this over to Mr. Crohan to run item 29, please.
Old business item 29 is Wiley Section 1 containing 16 lots on 154.24 acres located off of Del Rio Pike in the 10th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The property is located off of Del Rio Pike, shown on the right side of the screen here in red. The development totals 154.24 acres in size and will contain 16 lots shown in the pink at the center of the screen. Approximately 85.76 acres of open space are in the development. They're shown in green. And the roads within the development are private, and they're shown in orange. This is consistent with the concept plan and the preliminary plat. Water will be provided by the City of Franklin, and wastewater will be handled via non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system. Staff recommends approval with the conditions outlined in the staff report.
Thank you. Is the applicant present?
I'm Sean McGowan, Wilson Associates. We're the applicant for this, and I asked to defer this into next PC meeting. The reason behind it is the developers trying to do this without sureties, and they're behind in their in development on the site due to rain and other circumstances. And documented on your website is a 60-day period from end of development from PC approval to getting the plat recorded, and they're concerned about meeting that 60-day mark, and hence that's the reason for the deferral. We got a phone call, I guess, earlier today about there's a possible change that it could be 90 days with the 30 additional days. But with that not being in writing, I think it's safer for us to defer this into next month's meeting if possible.
Thank you. Do we have a motion for deferral on this item? question?
Does staff have any issue with deferral? Does that cause any disruption to this?
It doesn't cause a disruption for staff. And to answer your question, there is a 90-day for the final plat for the sureties to be posted, and then 30 days after to record the plat.
So I think what their intention is to complete all the infrastructure and all the improvements because they're wanting to try to do this without the sureties being posted, and so that's really driving the timeline of this.
Okay, so it doesn't concern staff one way or the other if you guys decide to defer it.
Motion to defer.
A motion second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item number 30 was withdrawn. Moving on to item 31, preliminary plat for McKenna LLE subdivision containing 4 lots on 24 acres located off Bethesda Duplex Road in the 2nd Voting District. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This property is located off Bethesda Duplex Road. It is approximately 24 acres for a large lot easement subdivision to create 4 lots off a 50-foot ingress, egress, and utilities easement. And you can see the 4 lots in pink, and the 50-foot easement is showing in green. And then natural resource protection standards have been met. And then water service will be provided by the HB&TS Utility District. Wastewater will be handled via on-site septic systems, and those have been approved by the Department of Sewage Disposal Management. And staff recommends approval with standard conditions outlined in the staff report.
Thank you. Any questions on item 31?
I have a question for staff.
Yes.
I'm curious, especially because this looks like it's surrounding another parcel, like what notifications are there, if any, to that property owner of this going through?
Commissioner, there's not a notification requirement for this type of development.
Gotcha.
Any further questions? I got a motion for approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to item 32, final plat review for Blythe Meadows LLE subdivision containing 5 lots on 32.55 acres located off Spantown Road in the 5th Voting District. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The property is located east of Spantown Road, shown in red on the left side of your screen, and it is approximately 32.55 acres in size. It will be a large lot easement subdivision containing 5 lots, shown in brown and white on the center of the screen. It will be accessed via a 50-foot ingress-egress utilities easement, shown in green. Building envelopes have been separated by 200 feet for fire protection standards, and natural resource protections have been met. Water will be provided by individual wells, and wastewater handled via on-site septic, which the Department of Sewage Disposal Management has approved. And staff recommends approval with the standard conditions outlined in the staff report.
Thank you. Any questions on item 32? Do we have a motion?
Motion approved with staff recommendation.
Have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to item 33, final plat review for Fair Farm LLE subdivision containing 5 lots on 42.48 acres located off Spantown Road in the 5th Voting District. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The property is located east of Spantown Road, shown in red on the left side of the screen. The property is approximately 42.48 acres in size and will be a large lot easement subdivision containing 5 lots, shown in brown and white on the center of the screen. It will be served by a 50-foot ingress-egress utilities easement, shown in green. and building envelopes have a 200-foot separation for fire protection standards. Natural resource protections have been met, and water will be provided by individual wells, wastewater handled via on-site septic, which the Department of Sewage Disposal Management has approved, and staff recommends approval of the standard conditions outlined in the staff report.
Thank you. Any questions on item 33? Yes, ma'am.
Like, close to the development we just approved?
Yes.
Right on Smith
They're next door to each other. They're neighboring parcels.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions? Do I have a motion? And a second? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to item 34, preliminary plat review for Arbors at Leapers Fork subdivision revised containing 18 lots on 379 acres off of Hargrove Road in the first voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This property is located off Hargrove Road. There you see Hargrove Road in the red. Property is approximately 379 acres. They're creating 18 lots. There you see the 18 lots coming up in pink and white. There's approximately 72.75 acres of open space, and there you see the open space in the green, and trails will be throughout the development in the open space. Roads will be private and gated. Natural resource protections have been met. Water service will be provided by HB&TS Utility District. Wastewater is handled via on-site septic system, and they have been approved by the Department of Sewage Disposal Management. And staff recommends approval with standard conditions outlined in the staff report.
Thank you. Any questions on item 34?
Motion to approve per staff.
I have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Item 35 was on consent. Moving on to non-traditional site plans. Item 36, non-residential site plan review for Cox Lad Treatment Facility for tributary subdivision. Non-traditional wastewater system on 144.84 acres located off Cox Road in the 5th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This property is located off of Gentry Road. You see it coming up on the screen in red. Cox Road is to the west of this. Property is approximately 145 acres in size, and the system will serve the tributary subdivision, which appears as item 39 on your agenda. All necessary components are provided. I'll bring the soils area. There are 4 separate soils areas for the site on here, and then the storage pond for the facility. The CCN has been issued by the state, and the draft SOP has also been issued. The DDR and DSIR have been reviewed and approved by the county's wastewater consultant, and all ordinance standards have been met. Staff recommends approval with the conditions outlined in your report for the non-traditional wastewater system, including the posting of a performance bond for the dispersal and storage pond.
Thank you. Any discussion on item 36? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve per staff.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to item 37, non-residential site plan review for Stevens Valley Open Space Pavilion containing 0 lots located on 0.56 acres at 373 Stevens Valley Boulevard in the 8th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The proposed open space is located off of Stevens Valley Boulevard, and there you see the Stevens Valley Boulevard right-of-way in red. It's just 1 lot. Property is approximately about 1/2 an acre. There you see it outlined in pink. They're adding a 448 square foot pavilion and 2 playground areas. And the yellow is where the pavilion's going to go, and then the blue is where the playground areas will go. Amenity center improvements requires planning commission review, and staff recommends approval with the standard conditions outlined in the staff report.
Thank you. Any questions on item 37? Do I have a motion? Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Moving on, public hearings. So item number 38 was withdrawn. Moving on to item 39, I will read the report, or I will read this into the record, turn it over to staff. Next, correct, Mike? And then we will open the public hearing after this. So item number 39 is concept plan review for tributary subdivision containing 75 lots located on 144.84 acres, located at 6330 Cox Road in the 5th voting district. Staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Here's an aerial of the site. When you zoom in and when you see the land use, the natural resource protection plan has been done. Regarding the woodlands, 50% of the site is covered in tree canopy, and 46% of the existing tree canopy will remain undisturbed. The streams and waterway natural areas have been identified with the resource protection plan, and there is some moderate and very steep slopes down at the bottom right of the property. And 76% of the site will remain in open space. Here's the concept plan. It's located off Cox Road. There you see Cox Road to the west. And it abuts I-40 to the south, 840 to the south. Property totals 144 acres. It's a 75 lot conservation subdivision. There you see the lots that came up in the pink. The density is 1 unit per 0.52 acres. And the lots are between 12,000 and 35,000 square feet in size. There's 103 acres of open space, and there you see open space in the green. A traffic access analysis has been done. Water will be provided by the Millcrofton Utility District. Wastewater is served by a non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system, and that appeared as item 36 on tonight's agenda. So long as item 36 was approved, staff recommends approval with the standard conditions for concept plans as outlined in the staff report, which must be addressed at future stages of development.
Thank you. Any questions on item number 39? And actually, we should hold the public hearing around. Yeah. Any initial question?
If somebody from the top, we can ask a question.
No, hang tight. Not yet. Any immediate questions, or we'll open up the public hearing on item 39? So, item 39 did not have anybody sign up, correct?
Not that I saw.
Okay. Nobody signed up for item 39, so there will not be a public comment period on item number 39. And
Express speech, I guess, right? I didn't know about a signature to talk. All I got was a sign in the front yard. One part of that said I had to sign up to talk. Is that how we do things? Sure. It's not that big a deal.
are you here to talk on item number 39?
I would speak to it, yes. It correlates with something else we're going to talk about. But it's at your discretion.
Sure. Well, you got, so hold on. One
I
second.
appreciate it.
Hang on.
Oh,
So you're going to get 3 minutes max.
certainly.
It's my discretion that you're able to speak. Thank you for understanding. But 3 minutes, I need to know your name. I need to know county of residence, and we'll go from there.
Certainly. My name is James Harney. I live in the Triune area. I was wondering if we have done any surveys of how many of these non-traditional septic systems have failed in the last 6 or 7 years. How many are under state review currently in Williamson County? Do we know anything about that? Because I can list 3 right now, but I wonder that these are not properly maintained and they are easily certified. I wonder that maybe after they're built and the builder goes away, the homeowners are at risk of maintaining these systems that have significant cost and significant liability. I just wonder if the county is keeping track of how many are currently failing or have failed.
I can't speak to that, sir.
Okay. Well, that question will continue, but thank you. That's all I want to know on this.
Okay.
one. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, moving on to comments on item number 39. Any questions from any of the commissioners? Do we have a motion? I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to item number 40, concept plan review for Triune Community East Mixed Use Development containing 61 single-family lots and 62 multifamily lots on 63.78 acres located off Horton Highway and Murfreesboro Road in the 5th Voting District. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is an aerial photography. It will zoom into the properties in question. So these properties are located off of Murfreesboro Road, Malachi Lane, and Horton Highway. You see all three roads here in red. Property totals approximately 64 acres. There is a 61 lot conservation subdivision. It's coming up on your screen in the bluish green, followed by a 62 lot townhome development that will be in the darker blue. The density is 0.52 dwelling units per acre overall, and the applicant is proposing a private road network for the internal roadways. Traffic access analysis was completed and reviewed by the county's traffic consultant. Water is provided by the Nolensville College Grove Utility District, and wastewater is served by the Triune Non-Traditional Wastewater Treatment and Disposal System. Natural resources include moderate and very steep slopes and areas of woodlands. And during the review, staff noted several of the lots encroached on the slopes in excess of the 25%, and the tree canopy retention standards had not been met. On your screen in the red, those are the general location of the lots that encroached into the 25% slopes. The applicant has requested deferral to the March meeting, and as the notice for the public hearing was published, the zoning ordinance does require that the public hearing be held.
Thank you. We'll hold comment until after we hold the public meeting. So we will open the public meeting on item number 40. We have 5 people signed up for this. Each person will get 3 minutes each to speak. And please come to the podium, state your name, and state your county of residence. And we will start with Penny Kimmel.
Hi, my name is Penny Kimley. I live at 2954 Spantown Road. I'm part of the Williamson County Equestrian for Shared Greenways, a grassroots movement that emerged due to the alarming rate of lost farmland where we used to ride, and the roads that used to serve as our trails are now congested. So we're urging the Planning Commission to endorse horse trails with the multimodal trail in Triune. Our organization is eager to assist the county in any way possible to develop these horse trails. Our petition has garnered 880 signatures in favor of horse trails throughout the county. A multimodal trail was mentioned in the Triune Special Area Plan on page 23. It states, pursue the development of multimodal greenway trails. These trails can provide valuable recreational opportunities for pedestrians, bicyclists, and equestrians, and can connect residential areas with various destination points in the community. Even the 2040 Williamson County Comprehensive Plan states in their objective that agriculture and equestrian uses are encouraged to continue in rural areas. But as such uses are converted to non-agricultural uses, the rural density, character, and sensitive environmental features of the area will be preserved. Williamson County Equestrian for Shared Greenways would like to extend heartfelt gratitude to the Parks and Rec Director, Gordon Hampton, for his efforts in creating more horse trails for equestrian riders in our community. We are also thrilled with Williamson County has partnered with Design Workshop to develop comprehensive multimodal trail system. Triune is an excellent starting point for this project as it plays a vital role in connecting Castle Park with various destination points in Triune and Arrington. This trail system will be unlike any other in Tennessee because horseback riders will be able to travel to more urban areas where citizens can enjoy viewing horses as they shop or dine. Appreciate your time and happy trails. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Mary Ellen Sloan.
Thank you very much. I'm also part
State your
of,
name if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah,
and
thank-
residence.
Okay, yeah. My name is Mary Ellen Sloan, and I'm at 405 Brick Path Lane, Franklin.
Perfect. Thank you.
And I'm just going to read from my notes here a little bit. I'm also with the Equestrians for Shared Horse Trails, and I'm kind of a data nerd, and I found a USDA survey from 2022 that indicated, and it's super small here in the U.S., but you can see the deep red purple of Tennessee on this map to indicate the density of horses in the 2022 USDA agricultural survey. And according to the data, we are the 10th highest state in terms of horses in the state, and we're, I think, third in mules and burros. So got a claim to fame there. And so you may not see them as you're driving around, but there's a lot of horses in the area. I know I personally have spent thousands of dollars in Williamson County on my horse hobby, so it's a big economic driver. And I just like to ask, as Penny said, that you stick to the plan with Triune to include multimodal trails, and hopefully, to look elsewhere to equestrian communities that are successful and do provide equestrians the opportunity to ride throughout the community, like Ocala, Florida, Triune, North Carolina, Lexington, Kentucky. There's lots of other, even Jamestown, Tennessee here, or even look to other countries that have suburban trails and retain their equestrian character, because we have a really long history of horses, as you know, in this state. And I think it's the perfect time, and we have a great opportunity to preserve the opportunity for future generations to enjoy Williamson County's beauty from the back of a horse. So thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Kate Bushman.
Hi, I'm Kate Bushman. I live at 6254 Ladd Road in Franklin, Williamson County. I also am a fellow horse owner. I love this area. Came to Williamson County because it was so horse friendly, and I just think that we have a special opportunity as we continue to grow to try to hold on to open space and multiple people and disciplines using the space, the open space. The horse people aren't asking you to just make horse trails. We're just asking you to remember that we would like to use the trails too. And while you have the chance to hold on to some open space, I ask you to make every effort to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Marty Leonard.
Good evening. I'm Marty Leonard. I live in Arrington. I'm 100% opposed to this for a couple of reasons. One is, just to give you an example, last night at 5:17 when I came home on Murfreesboro Road from the Triune intersection going west towards Franklin, there was a 2.5 mile backup. No wrecks, nothing wrong, just that much traffic on that road. I oppose the density to this because you could put so many people out there that the roads aren't going to be able to handle it. I mean, there's just no other way about it. I've spent 12 to 15 minutes getting off that exit when I'm coming west on 840 just to be able to turn left and come up that way towards these intersections. I don't think anybody understands. Maybe, I don't know if a traffic study's been done in that area or not, but it's a lot of people putting in that area that really not needed. If I wanted to live, I mean, I think people spent the last 20 years trying to move between Murfreesboro and Franklin so they can get out of all this congestion and everything else. And you're turning a rural area into a urban area very quickly. I think that I'd like to see it remain like it is with the current zoning and not change. Thank you.
Thank you. And our last one on item 40 is Jay Russ.
I don't need to speak on both of them. I'll speak on the next one.
Thank you. That closes the public hearing on item number 40. So I will now open it up to comments or questions from staff or from our members. Yes, sir, Mr. Crohan.
Current density of this area right now.
So these properties, the properties are split zone. So one is the TCA 3 and the other is the TCA 4. It is 2 units per acre. So that's the current density.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I just confirming what you're saying, that this development that's proposed is in alignment with the current zoning.
That is correct, yes.
Right, right. And then as to the shared greenways, what was envisioned, or it sounds like maybe the county's in the midst of something with design workshop, or like what was envisioned in this spot, do we know, on the whole greenway idea?
I'll address that, Jessica. So, as was mentioned, the triune plan talks about multimodal greenway trails. The county is also working with a company called Design Workshop to do a multimodal greenway trail master plan for the unincorporated county. And so that's a pretty exciting project that would potentially, set the stage for a multimodal trail system that could very well originate in this area and find its way back to the trails that exist in Franklin or Nolensville and Brentwood, and then also kind of spur off to other, destination points in the county. So I will point out that in this project, the developer is proposing a system of easements, multimodal trail easements that can accommodate future greenways. And the zoning does require that, but I will say that the developer in this case has gone beyond just the bare minimum requirements and is really trying to facilitate what could be a future multimodal trail system.
Are you able to point out on the map maybe where that happens? I didn't notice that when I was looking at the plan.
So if you look to the top underneath Murfreesboro Road, just between Murfreesboro Road and the blue, there's a dashed line. Mm-hmm. So that dashed line is the proposed location of the greenway easement, and it wanders around toward the right-of-way of 840, then back between, as we approach where you see attachment 40-1, there's the greenway trail easement goes between the greenish blue and the dark line, and then comes up around and ends up right around Malachi Lane is where it comes. And then we'll eventually go down. We'll look at the next one. You'll see where it connects onto the other side.
And then last question, where it says future development area, there on the corner, we're not approving anything with that. It looks like it's all part of this lot, or is that a separate lot?
You're not approving that with this when this does come forward. That will come in as a separate concept plan at a later date.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
In regards to the issues on traffic, what were the findings of the traffic analysis, and are there plans by the county to address the intersection of Horton Highway and Murfreesboro Road?
So the traffic study is being completed now. So the preliminary is the intersection of Horton Highway and Malachi Lane will be signalized. That is in coordination with both this item we're reviewing now and the item we'll review next. There will be turn lanes on Murfreesboro Road that will be timed according to the development. So our traffic consultant is looking at that. The intersection of Horton Highway and Murfreesboro Road, there will be timing adjustments to the signal that is currently there. And so all of the traffic study that has been produced is for both this item and your next item. So it encompasses all of it. Yes, ma'am.
It's going to be a traffic light at Malachi and Horton Highway?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. And I just want to comment on what Jessica was talking about. I was wondering about the trails as well. So I appreciate the fact that they are given the easements for that. I think that will make the community happy in regards to the horse trails. And I'm looking forward to the county-wide and seeing where it goes. And it could happen here in Triune. As far as traffic, I know what they're talking about with traffic. I go there twice a week and pick up my grandsons, and I usually have to turn one way to go around, turn around, and come back. So I will look forward to seeing what the traffic study comes back with and how the roads can be improved for the development. And yeah, so I was on the Triune Special Area Plan back in 2018 when all this came about and the rezoning. So I feel like this supports what we all worked hard on for a year and a half, and a lot of the community was on that advisory committee. We had a lot of public meetings as well. Some people have moved in, maybe they don't know about it. They should definitely Google it and look it up and read about what we came up with as a community in Triune. I live out in this area as well, so I am pleased to know about the greenways and the walkability and the horse trails. So I think it meets what we want to see out there, except for the traffic. We need to know about that.
Any other questions on this item?
One question, on the, as far as access to multimodal trails for folks that have horses, horses and horse trailers require special parking. Would they be able to park at the county equestrian facility that's just down the road and ride to the trailhead, perhaps?
I'll try to address that. So, as part of the Greenway multimodal master plan, equestrian will be a component of that that's being looked at. It's too early at this point to really speak to how the paved bicycle and pedestrian trails will dovetail with equestrians and how that'll work together. I think that's pretty premature to say. I will say that the applicant has talked to us about maybe establishing some trailheads within this development, not horse related, but related to the paved multimodal trails.
Sure. Thank you.
Any other questions? So go back to the original information next to last bullet point. The applicant requested deferral to the March meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion to defer. First recommendation.
We got a motion and a second. And all those in favor of deferral, say aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you all. Moving on to item 41, concept plan review for Triune Community West mixed-use development containing 103 single-family lots and 130 multifamily lots on 156.26 acres located off Murfreesboro Road and Horton Highway in the 5th Voting District. Staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the aerial view as we will zoom into the parcels in question in the Triune area. These properties are located off of Murfreesboro Road and Horton Highway. This is directly across the street from the item you just reviewed. You can see Murfreesboro Road in the red and Horton Highway on there. Property totals approximately 156 acres. This is a 103 lot conservation subdivision you see here in the blue, and then a 130 lot townhome development in the darker blue. The density is 0.67 dwelling units per acre, and the applicant is proposing a private roadway network for the internal roadways. The applicant is proposing greenways, so as you can see here in the green, that is the trail around the perimeter of the property, and we'll discuss that further in just a moment. Traffic access analysis was completed. Water is provided by Nolensville College Grove Utility District. Wastewater is served by the Triune Non-Traditional Wastewater Treatment and Disposal System. And the natural resources on the property include moderate and very steep slopes and areas of woodlands. And again, during the review process, staff noted that several of the lots encroached on slopes in excess of 25%, and the tree canopy retention standards had not been met. So here on the screen, you see the general area of those lots that encroached on the 25% for both the single family and the multifamily, townhome developments. So again, the applicant is proposing private roadway network for the internal roadways. And so on the original concept plan, it contained two connections, what we call the substreets, to the adjoining properties. On your screen, you'll see the two arrows of the locations of those substreets when the concept plan was originally presented to us for review. So after review, these stubs were removed from the concept plan. So underneath those, you'll see where the stubs are gone. They were taken off of the concept plan, and the adjoining property is no longer stubbed. Staff has always recommended roadway connections to the adjoining properties for future connectivities. And staff feels the removal of these roadway connections warrants further discussions with this body. Additionally, we requested the greenway easements that I spoke of earlier, and Mike spoke of earlier as well, to the adjoining properties for the greenway network. Now, the applicant did provide one along the creek. If you'll look next to Murfreesboro Road, you'll see the arrow. That one is still on the concept plan that's before you. But he did not provide a connection to the adjoining property. You see the one to the west and southwest, I should say. And so that one is not there, and we've asked him for that. The applicant again has requested deferral to the March meeting, and notice of the public hearing was published, and so the zoning ordinance requires that the public hearing be held.
Thank you. We will open the public hearing. Once again, we'll get 3 minutes per person. We have 4 people signed up for this one. And if you will, again, come to the podium, state your name and your county of residence. And Rob Adams will start us off.
Mr. Chairman, can I pass something out?
Yes, sir. It becomes a record, but yes.
Yes, I want to.
That's yours.
There you go. Everybody got one? All right.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. My name is Rob Adams. I'm Williamson County. My family and I own the tracts of land to the west and south of this proposed development. This property has been in our family over 100 years and is one of the few still being actively farmed. We have no current plans to develop the property, but are thinking for the future. In 2020, we worked with the planning department on the zoning of our property. For the west tract, it was decided everything south of Wilson Branch would have one zoning and north of Wilson Branch would have another. This was done to avoid causing environmental issues along Wilson Branch. It came with the understanding that the southern portion would need to be accessed from the neighboring property that is under consideration for development now. The south tract along 840 was used to access Nolensville Road. It became landlocked with the construction of 840. These are two separate tracts with different ownership. They were never combined. With all connections being removed from the concept plan, our property is completely controlled by this development. We would ask that the road connections highlighted in yellow be added to their design so that we control our property, not someone who has no ownership. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Marty Leonard.
Good evening again. Once again, I'm concerned about the density of this.
If you don't mind, state your name and county, please.
Marty Leonard, Arrington, Tennessee.
Thank you.
Once again, I'm concerned about the density here. I mean, if you just approved the lot or the motion before, the item before, and then you add this to it, I mean, you're talking about putting some, it's less than 0.7 acres. You're going to put somebody on every bit of that. And the amount of traffic you're going to have coming out, and now you're talking about putting a light at Malachi right there, it's going to back up all the way past 840 every time. I don't see any way around it. And you sure don't want to end up with an area like Berry Farms where we've got friends that live near there that have been there for a long time that hate it because of all the congestion and traffic. And I'm just trying to kind of not let that happen to this area of the county because it is a very pretty area of the county. Thank you.
Thank you again. Next is David Eldridge.
I'm David Eldridge. I live at 8039 Horton Highway in Arrington, Tennessee, right there in Triune. I just want to say that I was for this development. I'd like to see them build something there. Thank you.
Thank you. And our final one is Mr. Jay Russ.
Jay Russ, I'm at 1004 Orchard Hill Court. My question, can the applicant talk on the public hearing, or can I defer to the applicant?
We will, if the applicant would like to speak after this, we can give them time.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then I understand the concerns, and I just want to make this statement. People move out there, and I know there's traffic anywhere you go. I'm involved with the development, but I'm a homeowner. I live out there, and one of the things about this has been something that's been looked at for years, and we've worked on it for years. But we're not doing something that we're not part of, or is part of our community. We look at it as part to enhance our community and to do different things. And I get stopped on a daily basis in our subdivision asking about townhomes and things of that nature. People are getting older; they want to get rid of the lots, but they still want to live there. And so, we're taking into consideration all that kind of stuff to make sure it's a great place for everybody out there. So I just want to make that comment. So I'm looking forward to things with trails and other amenities and things of that nature.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. McCoy, again, I asked for some sort of accommodation. I spoke to your office earlier this month, and nobody mentioned that I had to sign up to speak. And I would have signed up because I do like to talk.
We've accommodated one time.
On one separate parcel, but I was hoping to speak on this concern.
I understand. There were signs on the door that indicated that you needed to come in and sign up.
Yes, sir, but the county postings in my part of the county did not list anything about that.
Yep. I will take that with staff and make sure if that's the case, then we will accommodate that in the future.
Again, there are significant issues with having to register to speak in Williamson County, which is a place where I thought we could talk.
Sir,
I thought we could engage with our
with all due respect, I gave you access to speak earlier.
And I spoke for less than a minute.
Thank you.
And there's no more time available to speak on this issue. It's going to affect my property.
I'm sorry, not this time.
Not this time.
Yeah.
But in March, maybe, when we reconvene. Possibly.
Mr. Powell.
Yes, sir.
State your name, please.
My name is John Powell. I'm the applicant, I guess, the developer. This is Will Cronk, our engineer. Some of the issues that were talked about tonight, especially with Mr. Adams, we have figured a way and we'll pass it out. We'd like to get a copy of what he gave the commission also. But we figured out a way to make a southern entrance into Mr. Adams' property, and we contemplate on having it as a public road. So the portion that you may look at right there, the portion on Nolensville Road going up to Highway 96 would be a public road, and the public road also would go south into Mr. Adams' property, which he said that he wanted. The private areas of the subdivision then would remain private, and we wouldn't have to have any a lot of cars coming in from future developments through a private subdivision. They could go down towards the public access in the bottom, where Mr. Adams suggested that he wanted it. The other thing that's happened on Malachi Lane, there'll be a traffic signal, but south of Malachi Lane to the if you're going north on Horton Highway, Nolensville Road, you will be able to make a right turn into the east side of this development, and then going south on Nolensville Road, you'll be able to make a right turn only past Malachi traffic signal, and before 840, you'll be able to make a right-hand turn in there. I believe that shows it on there as well. So we've added that right-hand turn, and TDOT has gone along with that and said that would be a good idea. So also, I felt that the giving an easement on the trail system along the property lines would allow us to stub in anywhere from the southern corner to the northern corner. Who knows if they're ever going to develop it, but if they do and they want to do a trail, I felt that providing an easement would allow that a stub in anywhere. We put the two stub ins in the north and the south, but if a future stub in was wanted in the middle, that would be okay with us. I might say that we spent several meetings with the county. We've done, we're complying with everything we've been asked to with the character area plan that has been involved with. I understand we have our tree canopy figured out also. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. The public meeting is closed now, so any discussion or any further questions for Mr. Powell?
Comments and question.
Yep.
So Aaron, this to Aaron, were you talking about the green up there? Is that going to be a greenway where the horse trails, and where are the horse trails specifically on this side?
So on that side, this is just a greenway trail. It doesn't designate whether it's multimodal for equestrian or pedestrian, assuming pedestrian, but it doesn't say anything at this point of the user type. It's just simply a greenway easement.
So on the east side, we'll have the horse trails.
So
on the west side, we won't.
So that's the same way. So at this point,
okay.
Yes.
My other question is, or comment about this, is if staff recommends, and it seems you highly recommend, that there should be access to Mr. Adams' property where the red arrow is going to the west and the red arrow is going to the south. I mean, I feel like that's a good plan, because it seems like it would be landlocked if it's not, and having to drive all the way down to another property. And he indicated that there's no future development in sight at this point anyhow. But I mean, I would agree with staff's recommendation to go ahead and put those where the arrows are in access to both his properties that are owned by two different people. Maybe it's still in the same family, but they're two different parcels, and they should have access to, especially on the south end. It's landlocked, and to me on the west it's landlocked if you've got the Wilson Creek there. So the only way to really get to those two properties is having to go through this property. And it's a neighborhood property, and I think it's good to be neighborly with your neighbors as well. That's my comment for now.
Thank
And
you.
more.
Anybody else?
I have some questions.
Yes, sir.
Is the Greenway development, is that going to be open to the public, or is it going to be restricted to the development? Maybe that's an applicant question.
John, you want to come back up?
Well, my understanding, it would be open to the public. If you're going to have multimodal trails that hook to Brentwood or Franklin or over to the castle, that's what we discussed. It would be public.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It wouldn't be for those people who live there only,
Okay.
even though it's private subdivision.
Yeah. Is the property to the west and south, is that actually landlocked?
So-
Meaning,
Commissioner, the property to the south is landlocked. It's bordered by the right-of-way of 840, the ramps. And then the property to the south does have road frontage along Murfreesboro Road.
west.
I'm sorry, the west, thank you. To the west has frontage along Murfreesboro Road, but the creek, there's significant topography between Murfreesboro Road and the creek as you go upwards toward 840. There's significant topography and natural resources that may prevent construction of a road or something such as that would prevent it. And so, and also on the western property, it is also zoned TCA 4 because of the creek was considered as a natural barrier and the logical place for a zoning district boundary because of those barriers of the natural barriers and the creek.
Okay. I still have more questions.
Go for it.
All right, this one might be the legal. I'm a recovering attorney, but I do remember some things from law school. If a property is landlocked, doesn't the owner have a right to seek an easement for reasonable access to their property on their own? So
Yeah,
could
if they're truly landlocked, there's a provision in the Tennessee code that you could essentially go in and get a private condemnation to get access to the closest public road is how it is. But if it can't be worked out, amongst neighbors.
Okay.
So that is still an old provision in the code that's still there.
Okay. So this property would not landlock this piece of property to where there's no access. There would be a legal remedy for access to be made in some form or fashion regardless.
Well, I mean, it's different parcels, right? So, I mean, you've got one parcel that is landlocked and one parcel that's not.
Okay.
But it also, I believe the court would take into consideration the reasonableness of getting that access. So like Aaron was saying, there's a pretty significant environmental barrier to part of it. So I think that would probably be taken into consideration by the court. I mean, the one case that I've had in court that did that, the route was chosen in order to avoid some drainage ways on a landlocked parcel. So.
Okay.
Any more? You can wait a minute. Come back. Any other questions? Yes, sir, Mr. Crowan.
With access where the red arrows are there, that would bring the other parcel onto private roads again, would it not?
So that's correct. And so that was one, I'll let Mr. Powell speak to this, but that was one of his concerns was his development will be a private road system. And so that was his concerns, and that's why we would like to discuss it with you to continue the discussion about that. Is that if the Adams family develops their property, will they have to have private roads? Will they have to have public roads? Will there be access? Those types of questions are what we're posing to you and want you to think about. But you are correct; they would access a private road system.
And the other question I have on it is there any intention in the future or now of gating this community?
The present community?
The new
one before
in front of us.
Yes, I believe that is the intention, and Mr. Powell can confirm that or state otherwise, but I do believe that is the intention to gate it, yes.
So that would bring further complications if you brought the other property into the private road system.
That is correct, yes.
Thank you.
I have a question. So if this is a private road system, how is the greenway area supposed to be public? So if you've got public access all around this property, people walking their bikes, et cetera, it's open to the publics. So the roads are private, but the greenway area is public. It just doesn't make sense to me. You have one or the other, which to me goes back to the property to the west having access at some point in time, and the property to the south that's truly landlocked. So again, I'm all into being neighborly. It's supposed to be a neighborhood, a neighbor area out there that they're wanting to develop. So I think you should be neighborly with your neighbors.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mike, did you want to add? Okay. Mr. Powell, is the intent to gate the community, or do you know at this point?
The intent is to gate the interior roadways.
Okay.
We talked with staff about trailheads. A trailhead would be in the public area. There could also be a trailhead on the very north side towards Highway 96. They could come in there and even have a small parking lot area that would not affect the private subdivision. Another possible trailhead would be the county property, and we were just going to start talking about that before the next meeting, where they have a equestrian center right now.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a possible trailhead as well. Mm-hmm. When you talk about being neighborly, we've met with the Adams family. He has plenty of access to 96. That's why we gave him one to the south part of the property. I didn't understand that they were owned by two different Adams. I think they're all family. So families should get along before neighbors can get along. At any rate, that's I don't understand that. I don't understand the reason why they would ask us to do a stub through a private subdivision just because part of their family might not want to give them a stub of their own. So that's it.
I don't recall there being an issue with the family situation. It's just that they're two different parcels, maybe owned by the same family, but they're two different parcels. And I think I would want to know, not that the intent of something, that if it's going to be gated, it needs to be stated it's going to be gated, not the intent. I think that plays into this as well. I just don't like to see property landlocked or some kind of environmental issues going on with the creek that in the future maybe it will be landlocked because you can't build a bridge over Wilson. So I just don't fully see the issue. And I don't know if Mr. Adams' property, if it'll be private roads too, and they can kind of build some kind of relationship there with the two developments. But I would just hate to see the property be landlocked because you can't build a bridge for environmental issues or whatever, erosion or whatever's going on there.
Yes, sir.
Has staff had a chance to consider this that was handed out with the yellow road, this road coming to the south property?
No, sir, we have not. So,
and
I will say though that we did see that, and that would probably be a good opportunity to connect to the property to the south, and that portion I believe would be proposed to be a public road, but which could assist with that.
Yeah.
So while we haven't had much time to react to it, and that's not what on the plans currently before you, we've seen it, and it seems to make some sense.
I see on the screen that the applicant requested deferral. Is the intent to bring that back to us?
So
as a suggested
great closing point maybe, and is that we've had a good discussion. We've heard a lot of good thoughts, and it sounds like we're going to get to see a different plan next month. Actually. So, any further questions at this point?
I would just like to ask, I appreciate this new layout and the access to the property to the south. definitely want to see that access to the property to the west, but I'd also love to see more clarity on the public access easement. As I'm a little unclear at the north there, it doesn't actually tie to Murfreesboro Road. And it looks like that's where the creek is, or some sort of preservation area. So could a person actually walk across that with the trail? So if we could get more clarity on that on the next plan, that'd be great.
Anything else?
Motion to defer.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, motion to defer is approved. Moving on to preliminary plat, item 42, preliminary plat review for Troubadour plus Field Club Phase 1 revised, containing 170 lots on 648.01 acres located off of Clubview Road in the 5th voting district. Staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It is located north of Cox Road. You see Cox Road in red. To the left, the smaller slide, everything in the that's shaded, that's the 648 acres in Phase 1, and the arrow points to the area where the revision is being made. The purpose of the revision is to transfer 3,961 square feet from Section 1 open space and transfer it to Lot 208 in Section 2. And there in the pink, you see Lot 208, and in the yellow is the square footage that's going to be added to the lot. The required open space is still met. There you see the open space in the green, and staff recommends approval with the standard conditions outlined in the staff report.
Thank you. Any questions on item 42? I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to item 43, preliminary plat review for Troubadour plus Field Club Phase 6 revised, containing 18 lots on 16.73 acres located off of Clubview Drive in the 5th voting district. Staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The property is located off of Jolene Drive, shown in red in the center of the screen. The phase itself is shown shaded in gray on the left side, with the arrow pointing to the lot in question. The property is approximately 16.73 acres in size, and the purpose of this revision is to transfer 1,396 square feet of open space from Section 10 to Section 6. The end result is transferring the 1,396 square feet to Lot 601. Required open space is still met, and staff recommends approval with standard conditions outlined in the staff report.
Thank you. Any further discussion on item 43? I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to item 44, preliminary plat review for Troubadour Golf plus Field Club Phase 10 revised, containing 12 lots on 24.98 acres located off of Clubview Drive in the 5th voting district. Staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The property is located off of Jolene Drive, shown in red, the center of the screen. The phase itself is shown in gray on the left side, with the arrow pointing to the lot in question. Property is approximately 24.98 acres in size, and the purpose of this revision is to transfer 1,396 square feet from Section 10 to Section 6. The pink color shown in the center of the screen is the lot itself. The end result is transferring 1,396 square feet to Lot 601. The revision to Section 6 was done in the previous item 43. Required open space standards are still met, and staff recommends approval with the standard conditions outlined in the staff report.
Thank you. Any further questions on item 44? Do I have a second? Second. Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to item 45, preliminary plat review for Werner Ruger property containing one lot on 9.93 acres located off of Goosey Hill Road in the 12th voting district. Staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This property is located off of Goosey Hill Road. It's approximately 10 acres in size. So it will be a large lot easement subdivision to create one lot, which will become the fourth lot off of the easement. You see the fourth lot here in the pink on the screen. So it will be accessed by a 50-foot ingress-egress utilities easement, and you see that in green as well on the screen. Building envelopes have been separated by the 200-foot requirement. The natural resource protections have been met. Water will be provided by Millcrofton Utility District, and wastewater will be handled by an on-site septic. Williamson County Department of Sewage Disposal Management has reviewed the request. Now, the applicant has requested a variance to reduce the driveway width from the required 16 feet to 12 feet. And so, to get you oriented, this is the property of Creekside Elementary that fronts on Goosey Hill Road. And while the driveway transverses the school property here in the pink at the upper cut-in, the driveway is 16 feet wide. When it leaves this area, it comes up in blue, it changes from 16 feet to 12 feet. Now, in your packet, we do have a letter of support provided by the Fire Rescue Department saying that they can service this lot and the other lots in the event of an emergency. And staff does recommend approval of the plat with the standard conditions outlined in your report and the variance request.
Thank you. Any questions for staff on item 45? Yes, sir.
This is for a driveway, not for an easement.
That is correct. It's for the driveway. The driveway is required to be 16 feet wide.
Right.
And so he's asking for 4 foot to allow it to be 12 feet wide.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Item 46 was on consent. And do I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion.
There we go. Thank you.